to the Cajun dance and the Zydeco. Filet gumbo and a crawfish.
Welcome to Literary Gumbo, a continuing look at the world of writing, writers, and publishing. My name is Fred Klein. I'm sort of the chief stirrer today, and I have for the first time a return guest, who actually was our first guest of the year, and she's had such a whirlwind time since then that I've asked her back. I'm talking about Marcia Meier, editor, writer, teacher, coach, and everything else. Welcome back.
Thank you, Fred. Great to be here.
Tell me what's happened, because of course the thing we talked about last time was your book, Roughing
Navigating
roughing
the waters. Navigating the rough waters of today's publishing world. Yes.
And tell me how. So the book was doing quite well then, and the book was just being published. And I hear that it's still doing quite well.
It's been a very consistent seller. I'm very happy to say it's doing well. My publisher's very pleased with how it's selling, and it keeps selling, every single week. So that's great.
Do you still do stuff? Do you still do stuff for Writer's Digest or either one of those magazines?
Actually, I do. Yeah, it's interesting you would ask, because I am working on a piece right now that's due next week to the Writer magazine on characterization and dialogue. So,
see, I think this is you're going to be the teacher. That's I think going to be your lot in life. With other, I know that we'll talk about two other things that you're juggling, but it's the information that you got and obtained and know, and are now telling to other people. I mean, you're doing workshops. You did a blogging workshop, which is just over the weekend.
Right.
So I want to hear about those too. But
Okay.
just going back to the book. Have they asked you to write another book? Have you come up with an idea that they might?
Well, we've talked about a couple things. One is to update this book, because the industry is changing so fast that we could do a new edition. Probably maybe next year.
Yeah,
it's a little early.
I think.
So that's a possibility. I have another idea for a craft book that's based on this piece I'm doing for the Writer magazine on characterization and dialogue. And I'm just now putting a book proposal together on that. And so the publisher has said, we'd love to see the proposal when it's ready. But I might send it to a couple of other publishers as well and see who is most interested in it.
Well, they've been nice to you.
They've been wonderful. They've been very wonderful, and I shouldn't say this, but for they're a small publisher, and they're kind of a one or two man shop, and they're great. They've been great to work with, but they aren't as up on all the technology and the things that I would like it a publisher come up.
But
be up
again,
on.
that writers, the publication though, the monthly is it a monthly or is it a weekly?
The Writer magazine, it's a monthly.
Monthly, but I mean to keep your voice, in front of the public, the reading public, the writers, I think is terribly important. So doing articles for them, or or just maybe reprints of stuff that you've done other places, I think is very, very good, because it just, again, builds your image, which is what we want.
Yeah, exactly. And all of the stuff I've done over the last almost 5 or 6 years, all the freelance stuff, most of the writing stuff I've done is all on my website. So if you go to my website, you can see all the stuff I've done in the past as well.
And also you blog. I
do blog.
Talk about blog. I can't.
I do blog.
I get your blog 5 times a day, I swear.
I'm not doing it quite that often, but I'm actually due for another blog. I'm a little overdue. I tell people, and I wrote in my book, you should blog every day. Well, I'm lucky if I get twice a week.
Well, no, come on.
But it's a hard thing to do, to write something relevant every single day.
But put on your teacher hat. Now, forget your own personal problems and whatever, and just tell me as if I were somebody, because I have to tell you that the reaction that I got from friends who went to the big publishing convention in New York was that, especially new writers, first-time writers plus, that sometimes the smaller publishers have just as much chance if you've got the blog, if you've got all these
Oh, you gotta have a platform,
you have
absolutely.
just as much chance of breaking through as if you were with a big publishing company that doesn't spend any money on advertising or promotion.
I agree with that completely, and I think you have a better chance. In fact, and it's one of the things I said in my book. The smaller and the mid-sized publishers are going to step into that place where what we used to call mid-list authors
Yeah.
are working, and also emerging writers. I wouldn't, I tell my clients, I have a number of clients who had their first novels or their first nonfiction books, and I say to them, don't even bother with the big publishing houses. They're not going to look at you, and even if they did, they're not going to spend any money on you.
Yeah.
So you're better off going to a publishing house where you're going to get some attention, where they're going to treat you like you're a worthwhile author that they want to invest some time and money into. And at the same time, your responsibility, and this goes without question for every single author, is you have to build your own platform. You've got to blog, you've got to have a marketing website.
That's now comes the tease. See,
Right.
I didn't pay for your thing over the weekend. Take me step by step. I mean, because you also you talk about website, building your own website.
Right.
I am now at your feet.
Okay. I'm going to assume that you're techno not savvy.
Believe me,
Okay.
you is right.
Okay, so you have a book, right? You've got a
I
book.
got a book,
You got a
right,
book, and you have a. Let's even say you've sold it to a small publisher.
Okay.
Okay, and it's going to come out in 6 months.
Uh-huh.
All right. So the first thing you want to do, if you haven't already done this, is you have to have a website. And let me qualify that. A website or a blog. So you can do just a blog, which is essentially a website that has your blog on it. It's a simplified website. And you can get it for free from any number of places. WordPress.com or Blogger.com or Tumblr.com are all sites that offer free blog sites for you.
Okay.
And all of them offer design templates, so you can sign up in 10 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Pick a design template, put your first blog up. Honestly, literally, you can have it done in an hour. Put a photo up. I walked through this process on WordPress with one of my clients, and as part of I was working with her on Skype, so I set up my own blog on WordPress, just so I could go into the back part and be able to, and the administrative site, and figure out how to help her kind of figure out how to put a photo up. It's not terribly intuitive, but there's lots of tutorials, and it's rather simple to set up something like that. Uh-huh. You can be in business in an hour. So you've got to have that presence. Then blogging is essentially having a conversation with readers. So you want
and consistent. You're making it sound like every day. Is it has
well,
to be?
the most successful bloggers blog every single day. Now, most of us can't do that, and nor do most of us want to. So it's almost like when I was a newspaper columnist, I used to write a column every week. Most newspaper columnists only write twice a week because it's an extremely difficult thing to write something of high quality more than once every few days. There are a couple of columnists who still do it. Dan Walters from the Sacramento Bee writes a column every single day, Monday through Friday.
Wow.
I don't know how he does it. He's been doing it for decades. But it's really hard to do that.
Well, most of our friends do the weekly newspapers, which is
Exactly. So they do once a week. But a blog is different from a column. A column is a little more formal, almost like a personal essay. Mm-hmm. A blog can be as few as 300 words, and it could be just something as simple as, hey, I just talked with a friend about a marketing problem, and here's what she suggests, and what do you guys think? And sending it out into the Ethernet, if you will, and trying to engage the people who write for you. Now, the game with blogging is to get people who follow you or who come to your blog and read you regularly. Mm-hmm. So you can do that with an RSS feed, which stands for Really Simple Syndication, where it is essentially like a newspaper syndicate where the people who want to read you subscribe to your blog. So every time you blog, they know they're notified by email or by a bookmark on their...
So now what's LinkedIn? Is that?
LinkedIn?
LinkedIn.
LinkedIn is another whole Social network site. Now you kind of
I mean,
we're
that's
getting
business.
into,
I know that's business,
it's
but
more
but
business
is that,
related.
Is that? But
No,
it's
it's a
still-
different
it's
thing.
different thing.
So LinkedIn and Facebook and what used to be MySpace, which is no longer as popular, are all what we call social network
Personal,
sites.
yeah, and more
Okay?
personal stuff. That I understood.
Exactly. So, but they're different animals. So a blog is simply like a little personal essay column that you write, and you hopefully send it out to all your friends, and the search engines find it and post it on places where other aggregators are putting together blogs. So if someone went to Google, for example, marketing for writers, and I write my next blog, which is going to be about marketing ideas for writers, the search engines are constantly, all the time, looking through all the vast internet and finding. So they'll see. I'm getting a little technical here, but there are things called tags. So you actually categorize your blog when you do it. When you write it, there's a way you can tell the search engines this is about writing and marketing for writers. So they find that.
So that's
So
your
then,
turf, so to
exactly.
speak.
So then, when someone types in Google, I'm marketing for writers. What we hope is that your blog comes up in in the way so that people can find you.
I see. So.
But it depends on a whole lot of things: how your design is, how your website is designed, the words you use for titling, the words you use in the blog, the way you tag it, the way you. I mean, there's just this vast number of things that you can do to increase your chances that the internet bots are going to find your website and list you on the search engines. The more people who subscribe to you and the more people who come and read you every day, unique visitors, that adds up to, that gives you a higher ranking in the things as well.
But now, is there a give and take? In other words, the people who read your blog.
Absolutely, and so they can comment. So
Yeah.
every blog, there's a comment section, or at least there should be. You can control that, but I have a comment section, as most people who blog do. The more people who comment on your blog, the higher your blog will be ranked in the rankings. So it's all related. And the thing about a blog is, if you can make it interactive, you got to make it a conversation. So I sometimes will actually ask at the bottom a question, here's what I think, or here's some ideas. What do you guys, do you have some ideas that you can share? And that hopefully will draw other people in to comment and offer other ideas, and then that feeds on it. So, one of the fun things that happened, I belong to a website called shewrites.com, shewrites.com. There are about 15,000 women who are writers who are part of this shewrites.com. And Meg Clayton, who you know, has been kind of a driving force with that website. And so she started something called a blog hop on a weekend. It's a blast. So you sign up, and so for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, she has everybody who wants to do the blog hop or the blog dance put our URL for our blog in this one spot. And then all weekend long, everyone goes to everybody else's blog and comments on it. It's so fun, and you get new readers, and they, and then they comment, and then I have, sometimes 18, 20, 25, 30 comments on a particular blog for that weekend, and then they can subscribe to you, and it's a way for everybody to get to know each other's work better.
But it's gone. I mean, now, so what you did today will be gone.
Oh,
I mean,
it's on
tomorrow.
there. It's always there. You can
it
always
is
go.
always-
Oh yeah, you can
you
go
can
back
always
and
go
read
back
any
and-
single blog I've ever
So
written. Is there.
you will always have.
Yes, and that's different from Facebook. So on Facebook, if I write something on Facebook today, and I have a writing and publishing group on
Right.
Facebook, it's there, but it drops off. It drops off, and you'd have to
Not necessarily
really
to-
do a search to find it. With my blog on my website, if you want to go to my website, you can search for a blog. The last 6 blogs are listed on the right-hand side, or you can just go through and read all the blogs I've done over the last couple of years. It's all there.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting, but it takes some time.
But it does. It sounds like I mean, you're not making any money out of it, or
Well,
what is?
no,
What
unless
is,
you
what
use
is,
it. So for me,
what
I
is it-
use it as part of my overall marketing plan to present myself as an author, I hopefully sell some books because people, and I know this happens because people tell me they come and they read my blog or they see my website and they're impressed, and so they buy my book. Or I get clients. I have gotten a number of clients from people who have come and looked at and read my blog and been, and been impressed with it, or said they found something that they didn't expect to find, and so they call me and ask, do you work with new writers? And sometimes I will say yes. My workshops, people come to my website, they read my blog, they think, wow, she seems to know what she's talking about, so maybe I'll sign up for her blogging workshop or her workshop on memoir or whatever.
But in your blog, you're primarily talking about a narrow world of
writing and publishing.
Writing and publishing.
Yeah, and sometimes I talk a little bit about personal stuff. And actually, over the last year, I've spent a lot of time, actually over the last 8 months, writing about my master's degree program. Because I wanted to talk about the kind of the journey.
All right, wait a second. I will go into that in a second. But have we finished with the tutorial on what
on blogging?
I need? No, but
on what?
What do you
so
call- what
blogging
is-
is a piece of what
Yeah,
you need.
right,
Okay,
now
so you
that's-
also need
Yes.
the on the blog, if you want, you certainly need to have your bio and a way for people to get connected to you. If you want to go a step further, you can have a whole website, which is what I have, which includes the blog and then all your books and your other writings that you do or whatever. Every writer needs to do that. And then speaking engagements, I do quite a bit of speaking. Not so much now because I've got so much other things going on right now. But ways you can contact me to come and speak about my book, or if you want to do a virtual book tour, which is really cool.
Now talk about that.
Okay, so a virtual book tour is a new way for writers to get their books out to people all over the country without driving or flying somewhere and physically being there.
Someplace, yeah.
Exactly. So there are a number of hundreds probably of what we call book bloggers. They write only about books, and they will often, you go and you become a guest on their blog or on, and they interview you and they read your book and then they write up your book and review it.
But is this geographic? I mean,
you can do it anywhere all over the country.
Can you
Absolutely.
do it geographically?
Yeah, you could. So you could even pick a blogger who's based in a certain community, like Chicago or Philadelphia.
My novel takes place in Miami.
Exactly. And then they focus on writing about the interviewing and stuff that you talk about with them. Yeah.
Without actually going.
It's all virtual.
What about bookstores? I mean, I realize I'm not bringing up a subject
Poor bookstores.
That's pretty sad. But can you connect? I mean, are there bookstores who are aware of your blogging? In other words, if they wanted to invite you to come and sell books or autograph books at their store. Of course, I assume they have to pay your transportation, whatever. But are there connections that can be made that way? In other words, the old traditional thing.
Potentially, but I'm not aware of any bookstore that does that.
That does that.
Yeah, and that's a really great idea. Now they certainly usually work through publishers if it's a well enough known author coming out with a new book.
Sometimes the publisher
will set it up and help finance them to come and speak.
Right.
But I'm not aware of any who have kind of used the blog.
But worrying about the bookstore, it seems to me that the more things they can do. I mean, in addition to selling books, we know that they're doing everything else under the sun. But just to keep in business, I mean, it seems to me it's very important.
I think it'd be very hard to be a bookstore owner these days.
Well, again, the same people that were so high on mid-level and small niche publishers from the recent National Book Convention also said there are now a number of new bookstores that are starting. Now, I don't know what they're doing.
I know, actually there was an LA Times article a couple weeks ago about a bookstore that just opened up down in LA that is trying to kind of meld the two, the internet-based interests of readers with the, physical books in hand bookstore. I don't know how they're going to.
I wanted to sell
but it's pretty
ebooks.
interesting.
I wanted to sell e-connections from this.
And there's a whole bunch of independent publishers who are doing that. But I talked with Mari from Chaucer's about that, and she said, I don't even understand why I would do that. It doesn't do me any good because she's not making any money by selling ebooks.
I know.
So it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
So it's pretty tough. That's a pretty tough position to be in today, to be an independent bookstore owner.
Well, but they're
going to be the only ones who are selling hardcovers, I think, eventually.
But let's talk about the whole ebook world,
Yeah.
which has evolved. It seems to me that that's where the increase in sales is coming.
Absolutely.
I'd still say it's more women, more fiction.
Yeah. No. Nonfiction.
Yeah,
it's
mostly
pretty,
fiction and mostly
well,
fiction.
with the ebooks, you're right.
Yeah, I'm just talking
yeah,
ebooks.
Yeah, ebooks,
I'm sorry,
right.
just
Yeah,
ebooks.
Yeah, no, you're
But
right.
yes, ebooks are
They've
are
outsold
now a major
the printed copies in each of the last 3 or 4 months, I think.
Yeah.
Well, and it's, honestly, it's going to be probably the way most people are going to be reading their books. There's still going to be those of us who love a hard copy book or even a paperback and like to have it in our hands.
I have to have it all.
But it's still something that's it's becoming a huge part of the market.
Well, here's the we were talking about this before we got on the air. One of the new things. This is a new venture called Bookish.com, which is expected to make its debut late this summer. The site intends to provide information on all things literary, suggestions on what books to buy, review of books, excerpts from books, and news about authors. Visitors will also be able to buy books directly from this site or from other retailers and write commendations and reviews for other readers. And this is, as I remember, started by Penguin.
And this is really kind of a response to a number of other sites that already do this, because the publishers are behind the wave on this. They have been all along. They've been trying to catch up.
Publishers have always been behind all of these waves.
They're just dyed-in-wool. They're just old school. And I was thinking there's already Goodreads out there, which is essentially a book review site for people who want to share and talk about books they love. There's Fictionaut, which promotes writers who are that's one of the other ones is that you were mentioning too, where you can go and put your work up and get feedback from other authors.
I will let me just.
So that's the other one.
I do clippings from the New York Times from time to time.
Yeah.
This is called Book Country. Will allow writers to post their own work, whether it's opening chapter or a full manuscript, and receive critiques from other users who can comment on points like blah, 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 blah. Later this summer, the site will generate revenue by allowing users to self-publish their books for a fee by ordering printed copies.
Yeah. So they're combining 2 sites that I know of right now. That's Fictionaut.com, which gives writers the feedback from other authors and drafts and such. And then the other one is Smashwords and Scribd, 2 sites of which already allow authors to post all their work and sell it and pay a fee to the website. So
have any of these books seen the light of day?
Oh yeah, in fact, Smashwords is where some of, you've probably read about some authors, and I can't remember their names now, but they're fairly well-known, already established, left their publishing houses to publish their own books on Smashwords or Scribd because they can do it, and they've got a following. They've already got a fan base. So why would they stay with a publisher? So they're publishing their own work, paying I don't know, whatever the fee is, 3 or 4 or 10% or whatever goes to Scribd, and selling them as ebooks or print on demand, hard copies, and they're publishing their own work. Why should they have a publishing house do it when they're already now? See, again though, they've already got platforms established. They don't have to start
the word.
from.
That was the word I was waiting for, and I didn't bring it up before.
Yeah.
Platform.
Yeah. Well, I mentioned it when we first started talking, but
a platform is all of
brand.
these things that you're talking about.
Yeah.
The blog, the
Exactly.
the
Your platform is what you're known
And
for.
webinar. Wait, you
And
also mentioned
webinar.
that word, which I had never heard. What is
And
webinar?
well, a webinar for teachers, a webinar is essentially an internet-based course. So I go online, and it's in real time. So I go online, and it's just like a conference call, like a telephone conference
Yeah.
call, only you do it online. And you go into this essentially virtual chat room with the teachers, and there may be images that you can look at, but mostly they're giving you instruction in real time over the internet. And you can ask questions, and you can get
What do you-
feedback.
Oh my God.
Yeah, yeah. And you pay money for
Yeah,
it.
I was just
you
going to
know,
say,
but-
there has to be some finance.
yeah, yeah. It's not expensive, but it's definitely, if you wanted, in the publishing industry, is a lot of people are doing this in the publishing world. Lots of websites like authors, what's the one I'm thinking of? Lisa Leonard Cook is involved with it.
All right.
AuthorLink, I think it's called. And they do webinars with, so if I want to find out about how to blog or how to set up a website, they do a webinar, an hour-long webinar, and they teach you everything you need to know, the bare bones of how to do it.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
So it sounds to me like that whole world of self-publishing then really has more opportunities today than ever did before.
Yeah, and what you've seen in these two websites that you just mentioned, the publishers coming together, and
Yeah,
they're
it's mostly Penguin. I
trying
find
to
that
catch up.
interesting, too.
Yeah, they're trying to catch up with what's already happening because they're afraid they're going to lose that
Well,
revenue. You know.
All I can tell you is that publishers historically and notoriously have always been the last. They just wait and see what happens
Yeah.
before they make. I mean, the fact that books are still fully returnable
Yeah, that's
from a retail
it's
establishment
amazing.
doesn't make any sense
doesn't
at
make
all.
any sense.
Never has, and
Yeah.
they just don't stop it.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, Marcia, thank you very much. For once, I think we're even ending on time.
Are we done?
We were just
Oh
about
my
to-
gosh, I can't
well,
believe
well,
it.
You know, I mean, I can't stop you because we haven't talked about your two projects. She's got
Yes,
two projects.
yes.
One is nonfiction and one is fiction.
Right.
In
right.
addition to everything else she's doing, right?
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
And so, well, tell me about quickly. These are all in the next year or
Hopefully
two.
next year, yeah. I've got a novel that I've been working on that that's going to take me a while to finish. But the memoir I'm working on, which is my master's degree
right.
thesis, that will be done hopefully by next summer.
Good.
And I have a nonfiction book, a craft book, a writing book that I'm pulling together a book proposal on characterization and dialogue. And the argument is, characterization and dialogue separated at birth, they're really one and the same. Dialogue is, I'm going to argue, dialogue is probably the best way to elicit characterization.
Have you talked to Tony at all?
LaPopolo? Yeah.
Because she's got so many ideas, and just
She does. She's got
like,
great ideas.
These are the rules. These are my rules, and
I know.
these should be the rules.
Yeah,
and that's
I actually
it.
sent her one of my clients, and she sent me a note back and said, "Well, first of all, he's got to read this book by her favorite editor book, because he's doing all of these things." And so, yeah, I like Tony. We've talked quite a bit. It's fun.
Speaking, I was telling Steve that Shelley's book is coming out.
Yeah.
And Shelley's book is very much like the stuff that Steve has done.
Oh, yeah,
All
the
of
kind
it.
of the
All
aggregation.
These all this compendium stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
July 15th, I think it's right
Oh, that's
this week. I
great.
think
Are
it's
they
this
going to
week.
have a launch party for it?
I have no idea.
I hope that goes well for him.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
great. So, very fun. I can't believe that went by that.
Well, you're shy. You're shy. You're
I am
shy.
shy. I'm too shy, I guess.